My name is Beth Brunty, and I am a pediatric nurse.
So I'm Mark Brunty, and I work at the University of Akron in their accounting department.
My name is PJ Rowe. I work for Ohio Edison.
I'm McKenna, and I work at the Akron Art Museum.
Hi, I'm Avery, and I'm a high school senior.
My name is Joseph Furno, and I'm a student ministries director here at Community Church of Portage Lakes.
When I was in Costa Rica, my missions site was the special education site, and I worked with kids who were that had rough families. It wasn't so much kids with mentally handicapped or disorders. It was more kids who were abused or had unstable home lives.
I worked in the special education site, primarily working with kids who come from homes where they're at high risk.
My mission site was the wood shop in Mosquito. It was a site for kids to come and after school to have a place. In Costa Rica they have school, the older kids go in the morning and the younger kids go in the afternoon, and then they switch it up. So there's downtime in between school and home and whatever. The wood shop was a place for kids to go to get off the street and learn a skill, whether that be music, drawing, woodworking, all kinds of different things. It was a place to bond and share, yet still learn and be safe and out of trouble.
So I was in social services, and what it was like a safe space for kids in the community to come hang out when they weren't at school. And so it was this place called the Casa Verde, which means greenhouse, and it had ping pong tables and foosball, and then games and toys and cards, and these kids could just come and hang out and play, and then they would have occasional weekly Bible studies with them as well.
We were in the sports. Usually play some soccer with the local schools.
Yeah, so I was actually the team leader of the group that went to Costa Rica, so I didn't have the specific site. I actually got to float and kind of go to all the different ones. So I got to kind of see each one, and just depending on the day and where they needed help, I went to that site.
We sat in a little tiny room, and we'd have kids come in every single day and talk about their struggles that they were going with. We had kids with parents as prostitutes. We had kids who didn't have, had both parents die or were living with aunts and uncles, and they weren't very good to them either. We also had kids who were physically abused, who were just neglected. Pretty much there was an array of kids that we had to see every day.
Usually we would have different kids come into a room. We might have 2 or 3 kids. We would do a story with them, do an art project, and talk a little bit.
Like I said, we would go and help our site leaders just kind of prepare for the day, and whether that be, because they had different workshops or events planned as well, so whether that be setting up for bike club or getting out the instruments for a music class or making food, we just helped prepare for that first, and then when the kids started showing up, it was kind of more led by the kids than it was by us. I don't know, it was more close than it was a distant thing. We got to get close to them over the week and learn about their lives and do what they wanted to do. And so that was a lot of what we did. It was just hopping in there and talking to them and playing with them.
The site leader that I worked with, I just felt like she had such a love for the children there, the families in general. But she really wanted to make an impact on them and to make their life better.
The people in Costa Rica were very nice. They treated you like you were family.
They don't take anything for granted, but they are so thankful for everything that they have and even the things that they don't have. They are also very happy and content with their lives when they had so much less than we did. But they wouldn't even be happy with all of the stuff that we have. They don't even want the stuff that we have. They have so much abundance and everything else, that they don't need the stuff that we have here.
I really loved the people in Costa Rica. They just have such an incredible culture. They all have incredible personalities, and like especially my host family, we got to joke around a lot and just enjoy a lot of humor together, and that was something that going into it, I was kind of like, I don't know how I'm going to connect with these people, and then just have them be so open and be so willing to talk and engage with us and joke around with us was really awesome.
The people in Costa Rica, to me, seem very friendly, but I didn't see any person that made me feel less than welcome. Even in the places where we were walking and they said this is a little bit of a dodgy area or whatever, I never felt unsafe or unwelcome like I was an outsider. They were very welcoming, very friendly. Even the people that had very little didn't act like they had very little. They were very accommodating and welcoming, which was refreshing.
My host home, I could not have asked for better.
They treated us like family, so it was very a homey place. I mean, we felt very comfortable, felt like part of the family.
My host home was really one of my favorite parts of the experience. It was a small home. We had a host mother, Katia, who was just really great to get along with, built a really good relationship with her. Our host father and then 3 host siblings. We got to play a lot of games with them. Usually every night we would play board games with them and stuff. So it was really highlighted the experience for me.
They were very hospitable and open. That was like my first impression. And so like the mom and the daughter that we stayed with when we met them the first day, they were just like very open. They fed us great food. They were like interested in our lives, even though there was a language barrier. Like we played games together and just hung out, and that was like everywhere. People were just very nice. It seems nicer than they are here.
Oh, we had a lot of food. There's some really good stuff.
We had a lot of rice and beans.
Rice and beans, I can't eat that anymore because that is all I lived off of.
And rice and beans.
That's all we all lived off of for 2 weeks, and so I refuse to eat them now.
Lots of rice and beans.
Not that they were bad when I was down there, but like eating that over and over for every meal.
A lot of beans, rice and beans.
Waking up for breakfast with beans and rice is just like...
We had a lot of rice and beans. Usually we had rice and beans with lunch and dinner.
Oh my God, it got so old.
Lots of beans and rice.
I was like, please, Lord, let it be something else.
Yeah, that was a lot of what we had for breakfast, lunch, and dinner in like different ways. One of like the coolest, not weird, but like coolest things that we had, it was like a drink for breakfast, and it was like oatmeal, but it was milk.
Oat milkshakes that were just divine. They were so good.
It was different, but it tasted like oatmeal, but it was a drink. It was interesting.
I do remember one crazy food called a mamone, and they were like these little green balls with like a giant like pit in the middle.
Kind of like a snotty seed that you pop open and you chew off like the rind off of the seed, but it's very tasty.
It looked so gross.
To me, it seemed like Costa Rican sunflower seeds. You could just pop one in and chew on it for a little bit, you spit out the seed, and then you pop another one in.
It was delicious. I can't even, like, I crave them still.
We had hot dogs sometimes in our host home, several nights I think, and we did try different fruits one night. The coffee there was amazing.
Another thing that I ate that nobody else liked were plantains. I love plantains. And everybody else hated them, which was good because I got everybody's plantains the whole time. No, they're not. They're wonderful. I loved plantains.
Mostly it just was rice and beans, which was all right. It was great. Well, it's what we ate, so.
For me, language barrier was tough because I speak no Spanish. But when we got with the kids and playing with them, you wouldn't really think there was a problem.
That was a struggle. that was fun. It was lots of dancing, lots of charades. It was cool because sometimes you didn't really need to to speak the language to get the point across. So.
I know some Spanish, but not very much. But I felt like we were able to communicate using the people around us that did have a little more knowledge.
Yeah, the language barrier was interesting. I speak a little bit of Spanish. My wife is fluent, so I can pick up on things, and so it's always something that's a little bit uncomfortable going into a Spanish-speaking country.
Cómese y buen provecho.
But this one was very comfortable very quickly. There was a lot more English-speaking people living there than some other countries like Guatemala that I've been to. But almost everyone that was there could communicate basics really, really easily. And again, even with my host family, like I could communicate enough with them to be joking around and talking. And there were moments that were awkward, but for the most part, it was pretty smooth.
I was really nervous about it. Like I had taken Spanish here, but not much and not nearly enough to like talk back and forth or have full conversations. So I could pick up on a few words here and there, but not much. And so it was really nerve-wracking at first, but like once I realized that they were laughing at their mistakes and I was allowed to laugh at my mistakes, that it was like, it was okay, and we just kind of loosened up and it was just fun. And we kind of like got over the language barrier just by like laughing, because that's kind of the universal thing. I mean, after like the first couple days, it was just kind of like, I know that you don't understand me and you know that I don't understand you, so let's just laugh about it and try. And it was just great. It was fine.
Para que los hermanos que nos acompañan de Estados Unidos puedan participar. What we're going to do today, just for the give each other's greeting.
The language barrier for me was very difficult. My daughter picked on me quite a bit because Spanglish would be a joke. I couldn't even speak Spanglish. It was probably poor English, even poor Spanish, and then you mix them together and it became some other kind of language. At times I got my point across. I don't know very much Spanish, so it was very difficult for me even in my workspace, because my site leader was from the area and he spoke a lot of Spanish, and everybody but myself spoke Spanish. But it wasn't done in any way to make me feel less than. It was just kind of one of those things where I was on the side, and that was a downside for me. And that's part of my shortcoming is doing missions, is not taking more time to learn more Spanish. But each year that I go, I'm picking up a word here or there, and I finally can say I'm sorry the right way. Lo siento instead of lo cilantro or whatever. I messed that up for the first 2 years, so finally we got that one down. So.
I didn't pick on you that much. It wasn't horrible.
Well, you laughed at me quite a bit.
Well, laughing and picking on is different.
Or Dad, that's not what it means. Or you're saying that you're hot, not that your coffee's hot, or, you know.
I think what God revealed was the different culture, being able to relate to the people like we would at home. You know, that no matter where we are, everyone's the same.
God showed me how much I take for granted every day, and how beautiful like His world is, and how beautiful His people are. Even the connections that I can make with people that I don't even speak the same language as.
Like the main thing that was really revealed to me was just the importance of serving, and like less of me and more about like others. And it was shown mostly not through the service that we did down there, but like how I was served down there by the host family, and how, like I said, they opened their home. They were just super sweet. They were interested, and they really cared and loved deeply. And they do that like all year round for people who come down and serve in Costa Rica. And so just like seeing that, like that's what I learned the most. Like no matter where you're at, whether you're in a different country or you're here at home, if I'm at work or school, that it's like so important just to serve, and like every, you know, all the time. So like less of me and more about others, like more concerned about other people's needs, whether I know them, whether I don't, whether I like them, whether I don't. Like it just, that's what God taught me the most, just to continuously and always serve.
I think most importantly, He revealed to me that I don't necessarily have to go to another country to be helpful to people, to help them along, to share my faith with them, that there's a mission field right here in the United States, in my neighborhood.
Like we climbed a mountain one day with the kids on our site, and it was like a super hard, like hour-long uphill trek to the top of this mountain. But once we got to the top of it with all these kids, we just all kind of like sat and like we're just in awe because you could see all of like Costa Rica, and it was absolutely beautiful. And like we sat on this mountainside, and some of the kids just like picked mangoes off of the tree, and we just kind of like sat on the mountainside and ate them. And it was just kind of like in that moment that I like was reminded that like I wasn't there to like fix things for them or necessarily do things for them or teach them stuff. It was a learning experience for me, and it was just like that reminder that it's in these little everyday moments that like those moments are the stuff that matters most in the long run. Like, what am I doing with those little everyday moments? Like that time when we were just sitting on the mountainside, eating mangoes, just talking with each other. It was what I was doing then that probably mattered more than, you know, like all the times that I was just trying to make stuff happen. It was just a really beautiful moment, and I think about it a lot.
It's hard to narrow it down to most impactful. There were a lot of impactful things, but the most impactful was the relationships that I made, the friends, the being able to talk to somebody. And there was a guy named Dylan, and we talked to each other. I would say Dylan, and it would be how I inflected my tone with him. Said a lot. We did a lot of talking that way. The director of the Students International Costa Rica, his daughter came up to me during midweek. We were at a church service and stuff, and she kind of became my little best friend, and we went and she walked me around, took a shine to me, which was neat because normally I'm not as big with the little kids. It's harder for me to relate or whatever, and I'm kind of the scary looking guy with the beard. It was neat just to be able to be in her life for a little bit too, maybe bring a little bit of the state side to her. And again, it was just the opportunities to speak into people's lives, just to be accepted in, just seeing how much they cared about my well-being while I was there trying to care about theirs.
Probably the most impactful was this little boy. His name's Bradsley, and he would color pictures, and we started out, we talked to him every single day, and he started out with us really like closed off and really just didn't want to talk. He was really neglected in his home life. Like his dad didn't pay any attention to him. Nobody really, like, he got really like not awkward, but like just uncomfortable whenever he would get like hugs or anything, because he never got that at his house. But our intern was like, no, keep hugging him, let him know he's loved, like let him know that he's important and God loves him and everything. So every day we'd read the Bible with him, and we'd tell him like, you're so important and you're so smart and like you can do anything and you're so strong and everything like that. And one day he comes in and sits on my lap, and he like hugs me and plays with my hair and sticks all these stickers on my face, and I'm like, I didn't do anything to deserve that. I saw God like working in him and working in his life and working with us to say the right things for him, and that was really cool.
Thompson, who's was part of the leaders of the sports, his father was injured, and to the point where they weren't really sure if he was going to make it, and everybody was praying for him, and we were on a city bus, and he just stood up and started preaching to the people on the bus. It was pretty impactful to watch.
One thing I want people to know is that you don't need to travel to different countries or anywhere to make an impact on the other people around you. Like, you don't need a missions trip to do missions. Like, God works everywhere and works with different people and works in everybody's lives. If I want one thing to be known, it's that God can work in so many different ways, and we can't put him in that box ever.
I think that if you have an opportunity to go to another country, you should do it, just for the fact that you'll be surprised at how you grow, and it's neat to be able to see the different cultures.
Yeah, I think one thing I want people to know is that missions doesn't need to take place in another country. One of the coolest things for me was talking to the missionaries and learning that most of the missionaries that we're working with in Costa Rica were still working in the neighborhoods that they grew up in. I mean, that's just one thing I think we should always walk away with, is that you don't have to go somewhere, you don't have to go to a different culture. Like, we're called to do missions wherever God has put us in our daily lives.
Like, I really got out of my comfort zone by going there, and it was my first time leaving the country, and so it was like both exciting but also like scary. And so like the one thing that I guess told people, and that was important for me to like tell people about this experience, was just that they should have one of their own, and that they should get out of their comfort zone, whether that be here at home or, you know, going far away somewhere, but just to get out of your comfort zone and just to do something that might seem scary, but if you do it for the Lord, that He'll always see it through, and He'll always be with you.
If you've never had the opportunity to do something like that, anywhere, I would definitely suggest taking that. The experience you get from it is something you could not, it's so hard to put these things into words when you get to the privilege of going and serving God and serving another people group. And like I said, that doesn't have to be in another country. That could be somebody that's just different than you, or in a different place, whether it's economically, geographically. There's so many people out there that need to hear about God, and we don't take the time to do it. Don't take the time in our daily lives to share with our coworkers and stuff, and that's probably our biggest mission field. So when you go do one of these mission things and you go somewhere far away, it helps you gain a perspective of, it's not as hard as you think it is. Why am I not doing this at home? And that's what I take away from it every time. It's just a renewed enthusiasm for spreading the gospel.